Give me just a second, everyone. Just a second, everyone. Okay, pop that. Pop out chat. And oops, I'm not logged in as the right person. There we go. That'll help. And just a second longer. And here we go. And literally right as I started talking to the camera, go figure. Crazy fuzzbutt. Yeah. Anyway, tonight I'm getting back to doing just character models. And to be exact, tonight's character model is one for one of the players on my Wednesday game. So I kind of need to make sure I get it done tonight and get it on the printer. Don't go to sleep in my arms, Furball. No. No. I gotta put you on the floor. Yeah, there you go. Go on. Sorry about that. Now, for those who are watching after the fact on YouTube, don't forget like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, that usual thing, because sometimes I'll come on early, like right now. And Anycubic Photon does amazing minis. Anyway, so the character that I'm going to be doing is a Lizardmonk, and he's not going to be using any weapons because he prefers to be completely unarmed, using only his claws and kung fu. And he's also supposedly a little bit more slender than the typical lizard folk. And on top of that, he's also wearing only straps, because he's got nothing down there. He's a cue ball. He's scales, nothing going wingity. And maybe a pouch on one of the belts. But yeah, so tonight's sculpture will be more on trying to get the scales looking right. See, there's a type of lizard that he likes and thinks would make a good scale pattern called the armadillo girdled lizard. Armadillo girdled lizard. And let me go ahead and pull up a series of images. And it helps if I spell images with an M instead of an N. Armadillo girdled lizard. There we go. In case you're wondering, that's the lizard that will curl up and bite its tail. And well, just to show you what I'm talking about, this guy. That's what he wants his character to kind of look like. So, as if you couldn't tell, it's going to be more on the details of the scales than anything else today. It's more scutes than scales, in fact. So, let's go ahead and close that armadillo. And let's get ready to sculpt. Oop. And let's 3, 2, One. That was the weirdest snap I ever had. Okay, so we got our basic male figure loaded in. We're going to go to the races and go to Lizardman, or Reptilian Type 3. Now, this Reptilian is quite hefty. And I gotta turn off the smooth torso. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to load in a tail. And parent it to his hip. Okay. Now, we take Mr. Hulky here. And I'm going to turn off use limits. Let's drop that hulking down to where it's a bit more slender. That should do it actually right there, but we want to make sure. And what we're going to do is we're going to un-X scale. Oh. And we're going to un-Z scale. Oh, wrong one. We're gonna go with the chest and on the Z scale. On Y scale. There we go. We have a more slender lizard man. Oh, let's make the belly a little bit more slender. Okay. Alright, we'll be sculpting that. Now, for the tail, let's Y translate it down a little bit. Whoop, too far. And then we're going to go for, it's got a special adjustment for thinner. There we go. And now the next thing we're going to do, we're going to expand all of it. Or expand all the tail. Select each of the individual parts, and we're going to make it flatter by X scaling them. Because that armadillo banded lizard had kind of a flat tail. And actually, let's go ahead, what we're going to do is we're going to deselect tail 1, increase the scale a little bit, deselect tail 2, increase the scale a little bit, deselect tail 3, increase the scale a little bit, select tail 4, increase X scale a little bit. And so that way we end up with a relatively flat tail. Okay. Now the thing is, he needs to be a little bit taller when standing fully upright than the average human. So just to make sure what we're going to do, we're going to load in a second figure. Okay, we take the abdomen, bend backwards. He's not that much taller. So we're going to go back to him. We're going to increase his overall scale. Just a little. Okay. That should be enough. And here is our Lizzie. He's a thin Lizzie. Wait a minute. Nah, there's no way. That kid's too young to know about that band. He's like 15, 16, so poke back in. Nope, nobody's watching yet. Oh well. Alright, so the pose I'm going to take is going to depend on one foot being upright. We're going to take the hip. We're going to side to side. We're also going to twist the foot a little. we're going to twist that thigh, bend the calf back to there, bend the foot back to there. Okay, now we're gonna, okay, we gotta twist it a bit more. We also need to straighten out this leg. So we're gonna bend that forward and this back. We're gonna bend it back, bend the calf back a little bit more. And we're gonna bend the toes. Let's go to a left view so I can make sure I'm getting the toe nice and close to perfectly flat. Okay. Now the next thing is, okay, we're gonna bend this a little bit, unbend that a little bit, and bend this down a little bit more. No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now we're going to hit Control D to drop him to the ground plane. We're going to take the abdomen, we're going to bend backwards, side to side a bit, and twist. Let's undo that side to side because he's doing it already with the twist. Okay. Bend him forward at the chest. Twist him a little bit more. One thing you want to make sure that you do is that your shoulders and hips are never parallel to each other or the ground. I say this at almost every chance I get, because otherwise the end result is you get a that doesn't look right. Let's bend that back a bit. Bend his foot more this way. But let's also bend the leg out a bit there. That looks better. Yeah. Once again, a bit more graceful. Actually, he's going to bend forward at the abdomen a bit more, because he's got that tail to counterbalance him. Also going to untwist a little and side to side a bit. Yeah. And then he's going to, let's see. Alright, I need to shift those shoulders a lot more, tilted to the side quite a bit more. To be more like what the actual stance is. Okay. And then the shoulder actually drops, but the arm comes up. Actually, because of his altered proportions, let's reduce that amount of collar drop. And then we're only going to bend a little bit. Let's see. Yeah. There we go, that's a better. And then let's... And let's go back to the hand and twist it a bit more. Twist the arm a bit. Twist the shoulder, the collar. Okay, there we go. Let's twist this arm. Also, we need to unbend this. Oh, wrong one. That's... Okay. Now this forearm twist. Now we're going to bend both fingers and make it into a fist. Okay, there we go. Wait a minute, don't tell me. Yeah, it's doing exactly what I thought it was doing. Edit, adjust rigging the shape, just orientation. I know I forgot something. I forgot to adjust orientation. And that completely changed his pose, if you notice. So we're going to have to tweak it a bit, because what it did... What it was because I didn't change the orientation on this morph. He's not posing properly. Excuse me. We're gonna unbend that. Now we're gonna go to these fingers, and before I do anything, I've got to undo the side to side and the bend and the twist. Well, let's do the twist a little bit, just to, yeah. Now, finger. No. Edit. Mirror joints. What is wrong with his hands? Alright, we're going to undo those fingers. Because, again, I've completely screwed up this morph, apparently. So, I'm going to have to... redo it. Later on. Yeah. I know what I need to do. Another reason he's off balance, and he really shouldn't be, is placement of the hip. There we go. And let's untwist this leg. Yeah, now I can bend this a bit more back. And then bend this forward. And we're going to do just a degree at a time, or half a degree, until we're not quite poking through anymore. There. Now we're going to turn the neck. Twist the neck, bend it a bit, side to side. Let's unbend it. And then the head is going to twist and bend a little. Yeah, there we go. Now we get to play with the tail. Okay, first things first, tail 2. We're going to bend it. That's right, I got the bend wrong on that. We're gonna, yeah, the side to side on the tail came out wrong. Okay. And then 4 through 5 we're going to kind of curl up and go that way. Okay. Alright, so now actually what we got to do is we got to get it away from that foot. So there we go. Now with that foot locked, we need to go back to the hip and go forward. Because of the mass of the tail. Actually, that's a bit too far forward. There. Let's make this, pull this out. Okay. And thus we have our Lizzie. So next is going to just simply be to export this. Well, let me go ahead. The tail really deserves at least another layer of subdivision, I think. Let me see what it looks like on wire shaded. If I zoom in too far. Looks about right. No, it looks about the same, yeah. So we're going to export it as a single piece. File. Export. Broadcast miniatures, new folder, Lizardmonk. And this is our Lizardmonk base, basic. Now, this whole campaign is taking place in a city. To be exact, it's the Dragon Heist Waterdeep campaign. So when we're going to import a base for him. Desktop, 3D printing home, meshes, bases. We're going to use the cobblestone base. Front view. And we're going to kind of pull it over to here. We're going to put it there. Let's go for the top view so we can get a nice central placing of it. Okay, we need to kind of bring it forward a bit so that most of his mass is over the base itself. And then we're going to spin it. Okay, now we're going to hide our jointed base mail and our tail. We're going to export this simply as Lizardmonk base. Okay. Hello! Yes, I just saw them. Cobblestone base because the game is Dragon Heist Waterdeep. Meanwhile, when I'm not doing it on cue, but when I try and do it on cue, okay, so anyway, import. As we are, no, you don't need to see what that was. 3D printing home, meshes, free sculpt minis, broadcast miniatures, new Lizardmonk. Lizardmonk basic. By the way, I'm sure many of you noticed, out of the blue this morning, I dropped a new model onto Gumroad. Link down below. A Hydra. Okay, now we're going to Subtool. We're going to go ahead and append the base. We're going to turn it off. Now, before we do anything else, we're going to merge. So we've got to go to Geometry. Well, actually, we need to do one thing simple. I'm going to blur out that right there. Okay. Now, Dynamesh. Okay, Okay, cleaning up some anatomy here. And bringing that there. And here. Okay. Now, as I mentioned, he only wears straps. Therefore, what I have to do next is make those straps. Now, the first one's going to be relatively simple. I'm just going to kind of tilt him a bit. I'm going to make a very basic belt. Kind of a narrow one. Right across here. And let's deselect here because I saw it accidentally get some. Okay, yeah. There we go. No, no, no. That wasn't good. Alright, let's try this. Much better. Yeah. Now 3 on the grow. 5 on the grow. 3 on the sharpen. There we go. That's a very simple basic strap. And this one we're going to extract all of these at 0.02. Accept. Draw. Draw to get rid of the masking there. And then 256 for this Dynamesh. Excellent. Now shrink, and we're gonna smooth here. Got your smooth tool. This flattens the edges, the front flats. And divide. Belt stuff. We're going to put a bag. No, we're going to put a pouch. No, a bag. A bag. Down here. Yeah. And split unmasked parts. And then move. Zoom in. Move it against the leg and then up here. And then against the leg. Mm-hmm. Harryhausen was very definitely one of my influences. This little baby girl. This little baby girl needs her pettings before she gets dinner, don't you? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Go on. Go on. Yeah. Anyway, well, you consider that I spent so many Saturday mornings watching Harryhausen on Saturday morning Creature Feature. And then later on, you know, there were so many other great critter makers. Harryhausen was one of the first and one of the ones to really catch my attention. Okay. So that's going to be the belt. We're going to go ahead and throw on a buckle. We're going to put the buckle off to one side. Right near the bag here. In fact, we're going to put it right about here. Oh, I forgot. This one, I've got to adjust the depth to 0. Let's make the buckle go this way. No. I've got to find a good angle for it. Let's try here. Well, that would be good, except it's now going through the bag. Let's move it back over here. And we'll just use the move tool. Okay, we need to go ahead and reduce the size of it. Kind of pull out the buckle and the end of the buckle. And then make sure it's going in over here. That is going to be subdivided a couple times. We can close this for right now. And we're going to merge down with the buckle. Okay, now we're going to draw on a circle. That's going to be a ring in the center of the chest. And then a similar one that's going to be on the back. Okay, and how we're going to do that? Very simple. We're going to just simply switch this to drag dot. Oh wait, no, circle. Yeah, hey, there you go. No. Let's make a dot. Focal shift all the way up, 25, and then Control Alt. Drag dot. Okay, now this is going to extract at 0.02, but without the doubling on. Oh no, we're going to make that 0.01. Accept, draw, click on him and draw. Now what we're going to do with him, with it, is we're going to geometry, we're going to Dynamesh 128, we're going to subdivide it a bit. Actually, no, that didn't work out right. We're going to have to just straight up 256 Dynamesh, undo it, subdivide it a couple times, delete lower. Then we're going down to deformation, polish 2. Oh wait, no, 20. Let's make it 100. We're going to inflate it. And we're going to relax it. Forget that. Let's do it the old-fashioned way. We're going to just run the smooth brush over it. Then we're going to oh, right here needs a little bit more. Then we're going to re-inflate it. This is a crude ring that the various belts are attached to. So the next thing I'm going to do, let's zoom in, and with move, we're going to make it look a little straighter. Obviously it's going to be bent because it's where it is on his chest, but we can make it look a little bit less dramatic. Also, hey, that's an idea. We're going to subdivide it a couple times, and then let's break out. I can't reach it. Tablet. And using the seam brush, seam 16, and intensity about there. What we're going to do at this angle, as opposed to Kurt angle, which way do I want to go? I want to go the other way. What we're going to do is we're going to make a couple bits here and here and here where it's bending, not only to give it some more detail but to also explain why it's bending. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing on the back. So we're going back to move. No, we're going back to inflate. That's what it was. No. Alright. Oh, I forgot. Subtool. Back to him. Yeah, there we go. We're going to make this one a little bit smaller. Okay. This one's going to be 0.05. Extract. Whoa! 0.005. That's what it was. Extract. Accept. Draw. Draw. Yeah. Geometry. Oh, let's go back to our ring. Geometry. Zoom out. And let's see what happens if we try a polish now. Much better. Oh! Yeah. And a relax. Come on, Shinju. Get over here. Good girl. Good girl. Yeah. Hard to believe she's 13. And then we're going to inflate it. No, we're not. Not yet. We're going to dynamesh it. No, we're going to subdivide, then dynamesh. Oh, no, not that little. Now let's subdivide it until it's, yeah. And then deformation, then we're going to start to inflate it. Okay, we're not going to do any detailing on this one. Okay, now we need to make the rest of our straps. So the first one is going to be this over the shoulder strap here. It's going to be a little bit wider than the belt. And we're going to have to turn this back from drag dot to freehand. We're going to start inside the ring, go over the shoulder, start from inside the ring, go over this shoulder, turn on transparency to make sure it went through. Okay, let's turn off both of them because I forgot to do the transparency in the first place. So I might have got something wrong. Let's try going from where I'm aiming from. Okay. Now the reason I'm going inside the ring, number one, by aiming at the center of the ring, I'm getting a proper angle of attack on this. And the second is that I can then follow it up and erase so that's inside the ring. It overlaps the ring. Okay. Meanwhile, I think I need to blur that. Accept. Draw. And then draw. Let me go ahead. I'm going to merge these down. Merge these together so that they're one. And I'm going to inflate until it's just, just barely. Yeah. Okay. Now, once again, geometry, Dynamesh 256, Dynamesh. And before we do anything, I'm going to use the inflate tool right above the ring. Then I'm going to smooth the edge there to make sure that it looks like it's wrapped around the ring. Okay. Then I'm going to divide it a couple times. Go to layer, crank that up to about 70. Go to stroke and bring that over and turn off lazy mouse and shrink it. Because this is going to be like a little rivet. Oh. Drag dot. Okay, I can see it needs to be a little bit bigger. There. And do the same thing here and here. And that's what we're going to do with the rivets. We're going to put them there. Now we're just going to do the same thing on the other shoulder. And got transparency on. And then just kind of erase to there. And kind of erase to there. Okay, turn off transparency. Let's move it back into position. And extract. Accept. Draw. Draw. Geometry, Dynamesh 256. Bring it over here. And a little bit smoother down here. And all we're doing is we're making it look like these belts, these straps, are wrapping around the ring below. Like that. Subdivide a couple times. And go back to layer and add on our rivets. One going through the ring and one going past the ring. We're going to do one more strap on each side, but it's not going to come back around this way. It's going to go down to the belt from here. So, go back to inflate because that's the size of the brush we want. Turn on transparency, and we're actually going to go, whoop, like that. The thing is, we're going to hide it here. We're not going to actually have it go into the belt. Excuse me. No. And then we're going to, once again, we're going to eliminate that right there. And this right here. Turn off inflate, or turn off transparent. Make this 0.015. Extract. Accept. Draw. Draw. Dynamite. Oh, wrong one. There. Geometry. Dynamite of 256. There we go. And then inflate over top and smooth it out there. Inflate over top and smooth it out there. Now before we go to layer, we're going to move. We're going to make it slightly bigger. What we're going to do is we're going to make sure that looks like it's under the belt there. Okay. Now here. Okay. There we go. Now under geometry, we're going to divide it a couple times. And go to our layer brush and draw on our rivets. There and there. Pivot around. There and there. Okay. Now we go to Subtool. And we're actually going to merge all of this except for the lizard and the base. It's going to be one piece. One single piece of strap. Okay, now let me go ahead and pop back here for just a moment because I'm, among other things, I'm opening Photoshop, and what I'm getting ready to do, hello Emilio, what I'm getting ready to do is I'm going to make a new alpha for the type of scutes that it has. Hey. We're going to go to now, the intent behind this is that I'm going to be using it to pull out from the mesh, so I want this black base color as a background. Nothing happens to anything that's going to be black on this image. White pulls out. So when I get on top of it, yeah. Okay, now the next thing is I need to make the basic outline for this thing. So we're going to turn on a grid. The grid is currently set to have 64 pixel by 64 pixel thick lines and 32 pixel by 32 pixel thin lines. And since this is 512 by 512, that gives us a nice even, we've got 4 large ones and 8 small ones on each quarter. So we got a nice, we can easily tell that this is the center. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to use, no, let's make it a little bit bigger. Let's make it 45. A 45 pixel brush. When I hit caps lock in Photoshop, it goes from the circle showing the brush outline to crosshair, so I can aim it better, so to speak. And I'm going to basically just sit here and make the skew. And what it's going to be is it's going to go from, let me make a new layer, go from here to there, to the center, to there, to there. Wait a minute. No. Yeah, there. And back across. And then contiguous selection, select it, expand it by 16 pixels, yeah, that's good enough, and fill by foreground color. That is the basic shape. But as you can see, I need to go ahead and hit X, V. The reason for that is because it wasn't centered. I'm also going to shrink it a bit. Edit, transform, scale, lock the scale at HMY. We're going to make it 90%. Yeah, that's good. 90% is good. Okay, now I'm actually turning off. Actually, I know what I'll do. I'll erase that half. And then turn off the grid. Because what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and put a tiny little, a tiny little dot in each opposite corners here, so I can flip it. I just got to remember to erase it before I do that. Now, we're going to blur it a little. Filter, blur. No, we better not blur it. We're going to do it a different way. We're going to use this, and we're going to do it with the mouse. This is to give it a more organic edge. I'm going to come back around this way and make sure that we get the bits that we kind of missed a little bit. It's hard to see, very hard to see, but we had some areas that we missed. Actually, now it's time to increase it. Also, we're going to do something similar here. Okay. Actually, we need to... let's do it like this now. Yeah, we need considerably more. Now, we're going to burn tool. 300 is way too large. And what we're going to do is we're going to kind of come in like this and give it more of a... Whoa. Yeah, that's way too many. I need to make it a lot lighter. Exposure. 22. There we go. Okay. Now what we're going to do, I'm going to create a new layer, set this color to 50% gray, and fill. Trust me. Filter, alright, then hit D to reset it to black and white. Filter, render, clouds. And we're going to overlay. And we're going to multiply at like 5%. Just enough to give it a little bit of chaos. Now let's make that 10. Okay. Now we're going to take this, duplicate layer, edit, transform, flip horizontal, and we have our scale. E. Control E blends them. Now with the eraser, we're going to X5, and we're going to basically sit here and erase these corners to make sure we don't forget them. Alright, that's the basic shape of these scutes, if you remember. However, I think it's a little large. So what we're going to do is we're going to... it's a little tall, rather. We're going to shrink it like that. Okay. Now, we're going to View, Show, Grid, because of what's coming next. Next, we're going to... Oh, wait. And then multiply. So that gives us more of a center peak, but it's not as extreme. Let's make that opacity 70%. We don't want it as extreme as the ones we had yesterday. And now, with the regular one, I'm going to get it from down here down to here. Let's make that there. And multiply. Filter. Oh, sorry. View, Show, Grid. Turn the grid. And we're going to hit Control Shift E. And then Control Shift L. L is to auto level. Whatever the brightest pixel is, that gets pushed to white. Whatever the darkest pixel is, gets pushed to black. And everything else in between gets stretched to fit. Now we're going to give it a bit of a blur. Filter, blur, Gaussian blur. That should be good. Now let's actual pixels. That's the size. That's our scute. Control Shift Save. BMP. Scute. Okay. Now let's go back to him. We're going to start drawing on our larger scutes. And the way we're going to be doing it is we're going to be using standard brush, drag rectangle, and we're changing our alpha to the scute, flip vertical because it gets weird sometimes. Now, let's start here. Okay, we can see we're going to need much stronger effect. We also need to turn off lazy mouse. Did that have any effect on that? Not really. Make it. Oh, I know why. I forgot to turn the focal shift off. There we go. That's why that didn't look like it was coming out right. And that's also why it's too strong. Yeah, there we go. That's much better. And we're just kind of drawing on almost semi-random. Actually, we need to turn on transparency for that because it was getting a bit too. Actually, let's turn all these off. And let's set them in the way they should be. We need to put on some going down the side of the neck here. And then on the side of the arm, and then coming down. Oh, too far down. Let's go down here. Coming down to there. There. Nope. Once again, too close. And also, you'll notice I'm using the mouse, not the tablet, to draw these on. That's because, again, I'd rather have precision in placement with this particular detailing. Whoop. Yeah, there we go. Alright, now when we get down to the tail, we're going to start making them bigger. And then we're going to come back over here and do it on this side. And by bigger, I mean higher intensity. Okay, and yes, we are going to do some serious sculpting on the feet and the hands. Alright, now we're going to pull one off here and here. Actually, that's too big, because we need to have them be roughly the same size over here. And right now we're just kind of placing them semi-randomly to keep up the whole appearance of the scutes. Now, there's one thing we're going to do before we finish this. I'm going to be going back over the edges of the outermost scutes. The side edge, and giving it a bit of a sharper. Alright, now we're going from 46 to 60. And it's going to be there and there. Okay. That was too large in surface area. There we go. Whoops. I forgot which way this was twisting. I find one thing kind of humorous about Tom Holland, of all actors. And that's, in the Marvel Comics, for the longest time, Spider-Man was one of the best characters about keeping his secret identity just that, secret. The only people who knew were people with superhuman senses like Daredevil, who had met both of them, and the first family of the Marvel Universe, the Fantastic Four, simply because they've known each other for decades. Let's bring this there. Yeah. Now I'm going to go ahead and hide that. And with the slash tool, turning off lazy mouse, turning it way down to about 12. I'm going to trace around the outside edge. No! 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 Get on. Get on with your bad self, kitty. Trace around the outside edge of the scutes. Really emphasize their presence. And I'm going to have to smooth that out, because I just realized I forgot to turn on back face masking. Anyway, so for the longest time, Peter Parker was one of the best in the Marvel for keeping his secret identity secret. And yet, one of the worst people at keeping secrets of the MCU is Tom Holland. Okay. Now, we're going back to layer. We're returning from drag dot to freehand, actually. Turn the alpha back on. Making it a little bit bigger. We're going to draw on some... Actually, that's the wrong one. That's the one we need. Yeah. And once again, we're going to remember to turn on auto masking, back face mask. Because the girded lizard has plates like this on its head. But yeah, Tom Holland is one of the two worst at keeping secrets. The only one who comes close is Mark Ruffalo. Which is also kind of funny because he was one of the first Marvel Comics characters to lose their secret identity. Back in the 60s. I'm just going to make a couple bits here. Yeah. I'm also going to kind of put a couple following that and following this. And let's add a couple on the mouth just to make the mouth a bit more distinct and clear. Once again, these do well with both wash and dry brushing. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add scales to the backs of the arms. Just random plates. To the back of this arm. and a couple down his thigh, larger ones. I'm putting a bit more space between them because these aren't as defining as the ones on the head are. These are just to keep the impression that he's got scales everywhere. Okay. Let's frame out. Yeah. Now let's fix this right hand. Then we'll get into sculpting the feet. Okay, first things first, we're going to the inflate tool. We're going to increase the size a little bit. Zoom in. We're going to kind of blend the fingers together so that he's like this instead of that. I'm going to do the same thing here and here. Yeah, there we go. Now we're going to inflate in here. Once again to give it shape. And now we're going to shrink it down and we're going to give it... Oh, we need to change the intensity to 10. Add in the knuckles. And the tendons. And then smooth them out. Now the thing here is we're not going to use our usual measuring of the knuckles. Instead we're going to put our knuckles on either side of this bend. So that when we straighten them, it'll look more like what we're expecting them to. Okay, so by straightening them, I mean we're going to be hitting it with the smooth tool. And then here. And just because, we're also going to go ahead and use the slash tool to re-exaggerate the finger differences, the finger splits. Because if we don't, it will eventually smooshing out with when we do our final merge and Dynamesh. Especially right here at the tips of the fingers, because we really kind of, yeah, not tips, but that joint, the front of the fist. Okay, now let's frame out. And that hand already looks a lot better. Looks more like a kung fu fist and less like a... Anyway, now we're going to slash here, here, and here. And we're going to smooth out this one. And this one. And then the ends. Then we're going for inflate. And we're going to very lightly go over that and that. I don't normally put that on humanoid figures because it's actually a tendon structure that is vanishing in humans. But I figure if lizard folk are supposed to be more primitive, biologically speaking, than humans, then they're going to need it. We're going to come back in and do some muscle work because he kind of needs it. And now, let's see, inflate in here. And Oh, come on. Now, I know that Spider-Man confessed who he was on national television when he signed on with Iron Man in the comics version of Civil War. But that doesn't count because it got retconned by one more day, which was one of the worst retcons ever. Let's smooth that out. Now here, since it's not bent like that, we are going to draw on our knuckles. With our usual measurement, you know, ring fingers, same positions as the index, and just a brief burst over both. Okay. Now, we are going to also kind of come in here and come in here, and then smooth out over here. Now we go for slash, and we're going to do what we did before on the wrist. We're going to draw on our placement of those two tendons and smooth out this side and that side and the ends, and then inflate the inflate the two tendons. And smooth out the ends. Okay, let me get some soda. I also need to do on his nostrils. He doesn't have his nostrils. And just drop this in the trash can. What are you doing, Fuzzbutt? No, you can't have. Crazy cat. You know I'm working. Shinju. Yes. Either get back up or go eat. What's he gonna do? Okay. He wants his pets. She does. You crazy baby girl. Good look at this. Yeah, she loves her daddy. There. There. Yeah. If you do painting in your office, a roll of toilet paper is actually better than paper towels for cleaning up spills. Now, we're going back to slash. We're going to make it bigger and weaker. Because what this is going to be we're going to start defining the muscles. Sometimes we do it with we need to do it with clay buildup. So, for example, the bicep. That's the line of the bicep, or one of the biceps. This is the line of the other. It's not as big on this side, or as long, rather, I should say, but it's thicker. Which is why when you bend your muscle, the bicep bend, there's a bulge in the center. That center bulge is the outer bicep. Or I should say anterior bicep. I think that's the actual word. And then we're going to kind of... Okay. And now the underarm. Got a tricep coming up from under here. And a tricep coming up under here. We're actually not going to make him as muscular as he might be. We're only making him muscular enough to get the point across. So then we go to the slash and we kind of draw in some of this. Add in some serratus down there, and then especially down here. Okay. Let's draw in here. Smooth out down there and draw here. Okay. And then we're going to do that to the opposite upper arm. While I've got the slash tool, I'm going to go ahead 1, 2 and draw in whoop. Let's make this no, it needs to be kind of forward. Okay. Frame out. There we go. Now we're going to go back to clay buildup and build up the rest of these muscles. I'm also going to kind of add on a little bit of the inner forearm here because we didn't get to do that with the other one. I'm going to smooth that out. And get to the other one. And then we're going back to our slash tool. So we can kind of come underneath, well, no, come underneath the bicep. And then up this way. down here and down here. Okay. I think mostly all we got to do now is the toes. Make them look definitely reptilian and not so much flat flippers. We're going to do that with the clay buildup tool, but we're going to shrink it a little bit. We're going to start off by adding on the tendons. Smooth them over top side, and we're going to add on again. So we want these to be kind of extreme. I should have just hit one as I did each one of these, but yeah. And then we're going to add on the toes. Okay. Now, we're going to use slash a little bit more intense and a little bit smaller to draw in the gaps between the toes. And then, okay, we're going to do it this way. Move tool. And then inflate. And this kind of ruined it. I'm going to use the move to bring those down. That was a mistake. Oh, I need to move. Topological. There. Now, we're going to inflate the bottom of the foot. Whoa, I said inflate, not move topological. The reason we're inflating the bottom of the foot is because this is going to be blending into the base, and we want this to be kind of up. Now we need to sculpt the next one, and this we're gonna inflate the bottom a little bit ahead of time, but we're going to do it from below. There. Now, clay buildup. One. Two. Three. And then I'm going to smooth out the top of the tendons. And then oops. Nice to give some shape to the toes. And then we're going to use the move tool, shrunken down to only apply to one claw at a time, to give the claws a little bit of definition. And then slash. We're gonna slash around that one, and we're gonna slash around that one, and then just to give it some detail on the underside, we're gonna do the slash between them. Okay. Frame out, and then we're gonna make these visible. Oh, I just remembered one thing he asked for that I need to do real quick. I'm gonna hide the hand and forearm to make it easier to do. He asked for a fin. So what I'm gonna do, I'm going to shrink the mouse. I'm going to smooth over these plates. And then hit. Turn them into just simple bumps on the head. But down the center, I'm smoothing it completely. Now, I'm going to go to clay buildup. I'm going to increase the focal shift to about there, and the intensity quite a bit. And I'm going to start, and I'm going to and then there we go. Now I'm going to use move to give him his spin. And smooth it just a little bit. Now, Control Shift Tab, get that hand back, frame, zoom. And there we have our lizard folk monk. Okay. Alright. Now let's go ahead and merge down to, well no, we need to real quick with the base, we need to subdivide it a couple times because it's yeah. Alright, now merge down, frame, and Dynamite 768. We are now at 787,000 triangles. That's not really a lot. But there's actually a good bit of detail on here with those scales and those scutes. So, what we're going to do now, once as usual, we're going to go to Z plugin, Decimation Master. We're going to make this guy 50,000 triangles and 100,000, 50,000 points and 100,000 triangles. Because I'm printing this for a buddy, so. And this is his first game of D&D. I don't know why he's playing a lizard man, but it's his first game. He's just getting used to it. So I figure, hey, more power to him, whatever makes him enjoy the game more. And it's 100,009 triangles. So, export. Lizardmonk figure. .obj. Okay. And there we go. Yepper. Emilio, when they gang up on me, or Mark rather, when they gang up on me, it's usually when I'm asleep in bed. They all gather around and just curl up on the bed and snuggle. Yeah. It's like that sometimes. So anyway, as usual, what's going to happen after the show, I'm going to clean up the file and make a render, put it up on Thingiverse, and then I'm going to take it in with the, there it is. I'm going to take it in with the figure from Sunday and a couple other figures and print them out. Yeah, I mean, oh God, BuzzFeed has something worse. Interview with puppies. Imagine having to give a serious interview while an itty-bitty pit bull puppy starts licking your chin. Actually, lately I've been rendering in 3D Studio Max. I'll set up an image-based light with just a simple white to black gradient where the white is actually 250% brightness. You can do that with high dynamics range images. And then I'll have a powerful spotlight coming down from the forward, just off to the side, coming straight down, or forward straight down. And it'll have a material on it that is a medium gray, but with a large, dim highlight. And the end result, well, it's like I said, it's the more recent figures, like this is the end result. You know. It really emphasizes the details, and it captures the shape pretty well as well. Remove. Yeah, Emilio, BuzzFeed has been doing this thing where they will have celebrities come in and they will basically pour puppies on them. And they'll be sitting there covered in puppies while they try to answer questions. So, yeah. See, when you said elaborate, I thought you meant elaborate about the render and not elaborate about the puppies. Yeah. I need to shave. Yeah, I need to shave. Yep. Anyway. So, anyway, I would also like to announce that, in addition, not only did my Swamp Hydra go live recently on Gumroad, as is listed below. No, it's down over here. No, it is over here, yeah. Also, I'm looking for a co-host just to be somebody to be, like, talking when I get, like, caught up, and to maintain a conversation with while I'm sculpting, because it's a lot easier to maintain y'all's interest and to keep viewers in the show if we're talking about it as we're going, if we're bouncing back and forth. And if I screw up again and forget to switch back from this view to the desktop view, they can let me know. Yeah, I've got the last time I ran into puppies, as in an entire litter, they were actually strays. The mama was also a stray, and I swear to God, the puppies swarmed me. I was walking. The mama saw this, flopped on her belly, and started laughing at me. I swear to God, she was laughing at me. Well, these puppies were like bouncing on my feet, tugging on my shoelaces, barking. I sat down. They hop in my lap and are slobbering all over. Yeah. So I called the local no-kill shelter and checked up on them a couple weeks later, and all of them had been adopted. The mama went with 2 of her pups. But yeah, if anyone wants to be a co-host, the usual hours. Tuesday at 8, Thursday at 8, Sunday at 1 and 8, Central Time, all of them. Let me know on the Discord. You can either be on camera or be only audio. Doesn't matter, either way. It kind of scares me that she's 13 years old. Because I know so many cats pass away well before 13. Just old age. And here she is, healthy as a horse. And I have no idea how much longer I have with her. Because when the cats go downhill, it goes... It's not a matter of like humans where we start going downhill early and this slowly go... No, cats, it's like... So yeah, there's like a clock ticking, and I hope I have as much more time with my baby girl as I can, because she is my very first cat. Okay, it's 9:53. Thursday, the sculpt will very likely be a good aligned priest of loose morals, That's also in the Wednesday game. While next Tuesday, it will be a nature priest, an elven nature priest, not a druid, a priest, cleric of the nature domain. It's the characters in our group. So, yeah. Oh, by the way, this is working wonderfully. This is that wash mix that I made as a counterpoint to Null Oil. You know, Games Workshop Null Oil. Where Null Oil has a slightly brown tinge, and you can see it in the stain in the bottle. It's a slightly brownish. This has a slightly bluish tinge. You can't quite see it because the bottle's still pretty full. But it's a good counterpart, where this would be great for most things. This is perfect for metals, because it gives it that slightly steely blue. And it's doing very well. I mean, like, I haven't finished them yet, but I've been working on this guy. And let me go. The face needs a good bit of work, but you see how that's coming out on the armor? That's like really seizing the details and really latching and really giving it a really nice flow. So my little mix works great. This is literally just silver with that wash on it. The armor. I haven't gone back to detail it yet. And yes, best possible use of these craft bottles is as a handle. Because it's large enough you can get most of your hand on it for good grip. You can, with the sticky tape, you can put it at whatever angle you need. Just make sure that you get your hand up against it when you're painting for stability. I'll admit, for large things, I printed off something that can grip most of my hand and then curl the pinky under. Like large things like the Cyclops, I haven't even done anything more than prime and give him a wash to pop the details. The reason I do that is that way I don't have to get every edge exactly perfect. It will still get lined by the ink that's already there, and it also helps me see where those details are. Oh no. Let me get out of here. I'm using this. It's like blue tack. It's a little rubbery substance. You pull off a chunk, flatten, and it's like a temporary putty. But it holds it on there well enough, but at the same time you can pop it off and then just peel it right off whichever side it ends up sticking to. Because it's tacky, clap along if you feel that plaids are on the roof. 'Cause it's tacky. Anyway. But yeah, that's how I put them on the bottle, is with this generic brand blue tack. Yep. Now there are a lot of people that prefer, like there's painting handles out there, all sorts of painting handles. I've seen some that have a little bar that comes across. I don't understand what that's for. ones that have a little spinning disc that you can spin with your thumb and the forefinger as you're painting. And I'm thinking it's just a little bit too much. Why not just, turn your wrist? And if you've got to do more, just, I mean, if I need to turn around to the back, I turn the whole thing. Instead of just trying to... But that's just me. Anyway, I am also getting some work done on the brain pry orcs, but so many arms, and I'm also working on another critter. This critter will be almost as tall as Argus, but a lot skinnier, a lot creepier, and based on a poem from the 18th century, or 19th century. No, the current number of variants is probably closer to 30 billion orcs. But yeah, does anyone know of what critter was in a poem in the 1800s, as well as one of the monster manuals? Can you guess? Who was it? Who was in that poem? He's been in a couple monster manuals. I'll say this. The usual description in terms of game terms is they usually put him roughly equal to an ancient to great worm red dragon in overall power. It has no flyer breath, but it has a confusion effect. No, it is not Babadook. We're talking about a critter that's over 150 years old. Not old enough to be legend, but old enough to be public domain. There you go, Mark. I'm doing a Jabberwock. And yes, it is based on the art from the original woodcuts. Emilio, seeing it spelled Javert Woki makes me think of Javert, Inspector Javert, Jabberwock, Inspector Jabberwock. Did you know that the original artwork for the Jabberwock had him wearing a waistcoat with a pocket watch, a head like a turkey with the beak cut off, and big old rabbit teeth, long skinny arms and neck and legs and tiny little wings, and a waistcoat with a pocket watch and a pot belly? Dragon thing, wearing a waistcoat. And only like half a century later we had Great Cthulhu. Did you know that Jabberwocky was actually written in mockery of a style of poetry in the time that he wrote that, where they tried to create... They were trying to write poems in the style of, 10th, 12th century poems using modern language and terms, and they were getting as obtuse language as they could, the most complex word. If you're not sending your reader to the dictionary 15 times per verse, you're underperforming. Ooh. Okay, in this cupboard, in this bookcase, or do you mean the Transformers in the next bookcase and the back bookcase? Bo, 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 bo. I'll be honest, 90% of them are unpainted. I just reach out, I grab, oh look, it's an unpainted red resin Goliath Barbarian. Yeah, most of them were unpainted. And of course, I've seen people who this is their favorite figure so far, despite how simple it is. Death from above! Ah! I took it to game night. That goblin. One of the players didn't stop laughing for 5 minutes. Yeah. Anyway, it's now 10:05. I got stuff I gotta get done. And I will talk to you all later. Alright? Ooh. Anyway, I will be ready. I am getting ready to go. Good night. So, I'm going to be holding up my hand. And I'm going to be doing the whole 5-to-1 thing. And as I do so, I'll be, when I get to 1, I'm going to say something completely goofy. And then and log out. Okay? So, let's go ahead and go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The oldest known words for cats were based on the word meow or mow in most languages. Good night.